For decades, engineers said it was impossible. The rotary engine was dead, killed by emissions laws, fuel inefficiency, and an industry that moved on. But Mazda just brought it back from the grave, and what they've created will change everything you thought you knew about the future of cars. It all started back in 1967, when Mazda introduced something revolutionary. While every other automaker was content refining the same piston and cylinder design that had existed since the 1800s, Mazda took an enormous gamble on something completely different. They called it the Wankel rotary engine, and it was installed in a beautiful car called the Cosmo Sport. This wasn't just an incremental improvement on existing technology. This was a complete rethinking of how an internal combustion engine could actually work at its most fundamental level. Instead of pistons moving up and down in cylinders, instead of a traditional crankshafts and camshafts turning linearly, the rotary used a triangular rotor that spun continuously inside a figure-8 shaped chamber. It was elegant in its simplicity. It was mechanically efficient in its own unique way. And it was genuinely radical. The design represented a departure from over a century of automotive engineering tradition. Mazda was saying to the world that there was a better way, a different way, to make engines work. The early Cosmo Sport produced 110 horsepower from just 982 cubic centimeters of displacement. To put that in perspective, that's less than 1 liter, and yet it pushed the car to 124 miles per hour. For 1967, that was genuinely impressive. The engine was remarkably compact. It was incredibly smooth thanks to its continuous rotary motion, and it represented everything Mazda wanted to be as a company. Innovative, bold, and willing to challenge the established status quo. For a brief, shining moment, Mazda seemed truly poised to revolutionize the entire automotive world forever. But then everything went profoundly wrong. The rotary engine had a fundamental flaw. The same characteristics that made it so elegant and smooth made it fundamentally problematic for an industry increasingly focused on environmental regulations and fuel economy standards. The rotary burned fuel incredibly inefficiently. Drivers couldn't get the mileage they expected from their vehicles. And even worse, it struggled mightily to meet emissions standards that became more stringent with each passing year and regulatory cycle. Mazda's dedicated engineers fought valiantly against these limitations. They solved some problems, like the infamous devil's fingernails, which were chatter marks that appeared on the engine housing from vibrating apex seals causing friction. They added lubrication directly to the fuel mixture to stop excessive oil consumption. They redesigned components. They innovated constantly. But no matter what they did, no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't completely overcome the fundamental physical limitations of the rotary design itself. There were engineering challenges that seemed insurmountable given the technology available at the time. Throughout the 1970s and 80s, Mazda persisted with the rotary engine despite the challenges. They poured literally billions of dollars into research and development. They created legendary cars around it. The RX series became iconic among enthusiasts worldwide. The rotary-powered Mazda RX-7 became a legend in its own right, a lightweight sports car that could genuinely compete with the best performance machines the world had to offer. For Mazda, the rotary wasn't just an engine, it was their identity. It was proof that they were different, that they were willing to think differently, to take risks that other manufacturers wouldn't dare touch. But by the 1990s, the writing was clearly on the wall for everyone to see. Emission standards were getting progressively tighter. Fuel efficiency demands were increasing dramatically. Consumers wanted reliability and low maintenance costs above all else. The rotary engine offered none of these things consistently enough. Production costs remained stubbornly high because the engine required precision manufacturing beyond what most plants could achieve. Fuel economy remained poor compared to conventional piston engines, and the regulatory environment was becoming increasingly hostile to anything that couldn't meet strict and ever-tightening emissions standards reliably. One by one, the rest of the automotive industry abandoned rotary engines entirely. Porsche stopped using them. NSU stopped using them. Every manufacturer except Mazda gave up on the technology. Mazda, isolated and stubbornly committed to their vision, became the last manufacturer standing with the rotary engine. They were alone in their devotion to this technology. No other company in the world was still trying to make rotary engines work in production vehicles. Finally, in 2012, Mazda pulled the plug on the rotary. After 45 years of dedicated development and production, after hundreds of thousands of cars built around the world, after pouring immense resources into perfecting a technology that the world was collectively rejecting, Mazda admitted defeat. The rotary engine was dead. The company moved on to different technologies, different engines, different futures. Many people believed that was the end of the story. They thought we'd never see a rotary engine in a production car again. The chapter had closed. The book was finished. Then, in 2023, something unexpected happened that shocked the automotive world. At the Japan Mobility Show that year, Mazda unveiled a concept car called the iconic SP. It was absolutely stunning to behold, a sleek and modern sports car with elegant proportions and beautiful design that looked forward to the future, while somehow honoring Mazda's rich heritage and history. But when automotive journalists and enthusiasts learned what was under the hood, they couldn't believe their ears. Mazda wasn't just showing a design concept, they were showing the world their vision for the future, and that vision was powered by a rotary engine. The media response was explosive and immediate. Car enthusiasts lost their minds entirely. Social media exploded with excitement and speculation. After 11 years of complete silence, Mazda had just proven that there was still hunger for the rotary engine, still love for this unique technology that no one else in the world was pursuing anymore. Even more significantly, the public response showed Mazda something crucial. It showed them that there was an audience for this kind of thinking. In an industry increasingly dominated by electric vehicles, where every major manufacturer was announcing all the awesome electric futures and phasing out combustion engines, Mazda recognized something important. There was a segment of consumers, a passionate segment, that didn't want to abandon combustion engines entirely. They didn't want to surrender to the EV revolution without exploring every possibility. They wanted innovation that honored the past while building toward the future. They wanted choice. They wanted options. They wanted to know that not every car made would be identical in its powertrain philosophy. That response changed everything at Mazda fundamentally and permanently. In early 2025, just over 1 year after revealing the iconic SP concept, Mazda's CEO took a major step that shocked the industry. He announced that the company was creating a dedicated research and development group focused entirely on bringing the rotary engine back as a production engine. This wasn't some small side project relegated to a corner of the company. This wasn't a nostalgic throwback, meant to sell a few limited edition cars to die-hard enthusiasts. This was an institutional commitment. The entire company rallied behind the vision. Engineers who had spent their careers studying rotary engine technology suddenly had resources and support they'd never had before. The CEO was sending a clear message to everyone. Mazda believes in this technology. Mazda is willing to bet on it. Mazda is going to make this happen. But here's where the story gets really interesting and genuinely revolutionary. The new rotary engine they're developing isn't the rotary engine of the past. It's something completely new and different. It's a hybrid system, and it represents a fascinating solution to the very problems that killed the rotary engine in the first place. The new rotary sports car will pair a modern, high-efficiency rotary engine with twin electric motors working in concert. This hybrid configuration solves multiple problems simultaneously and elegantly. First, the electric motors handle low-end torque and initial acceleration, which has always been a weakness of rotary engines. Rotary engines naturally want to spin at high RPMs. They produce their best power at high speeds, but drivers want torque down low in everyday driving. The instant torque delivery of electric motors makes up for the rotary's naturally high RPM nature perfectly. Second, the hybrid system allows the rotary engine to operate in its optimal efficiency range more of the time. In a conventional vehicle, an engine spends a lot of time operating inefficiently, at partial throttles, or in situations where it's not generating maximum power output. With hybrid power, the engine can be shut off entirely when not needed, and when it does run, it can be tuned precisely to run at maximum efficiency. This dramatically improves fuel economy compared to what you'd get from a rotary alone. Third, and perhaps most importantly, the hybrid configuration allows the rotary to meet modern emission standards that it could never meet on its own. The electric motor can cut the engine off completely when the car is running on battery power alone. This means zero tailpipe emissions in certain driving conditions. The rotary engine itself can be optimized for the specific conditions under which it operates. It can be tuned precisely for performance and emissions with the knowledge that it won't be running at full load all the time. This is the breakthrough that solves the emissions problem that plagued rotary engines for decades and decades. The expected specifications are genuinely exciting to consider. The new rotary hybrid sports car is expected to produce over 350 horsepower. That's more power than many V6 engines generate, coming from a compact rotary combined with electric motors. The price point, expected to be around $50,000, puts it in an interesting market segment. It's more expensive than a base sports car, but cheaper than a true high-performance machine. The launch timeline is aggressive. Mazda is targeting a release in late 2026 or early 2027. That's less than 2 years away. This is happening very soon. What makes this moment in automotive history so fascinating is the context in which it's occurring today. Right now, the entire industry is obsessed with one singular thing: electric vehicles. Every major manufacturer has committed to going all electric eventually. They're making huge announcements about battery technology, about charging infrastructure, about the electric future. Tesla built an entire company on the premise that the internal combustion engine is finished. that it belongs to the past, that the future belongs exclusively to battery electric vehicles. Yet here's Mazda swimming against the current, making a massive bet that there's still a future for combustion engines. This is not a small decision to make. This is not Mazda being nostalgic or ignorant about market trends. Mazda is a company that's also actively developing electric vehicles. The MX-30 REV, which is already on sale, uses a rotary engine as an electric range extender in a hybrid vehicle. Mazda is not ignoring electric vehicles. They're not betting everything on combustion engines exclusively. What they're doing is more nuanced and more interesting than that. They're betting that the future of transportation is not one size fits all. They're betting that different powertrains will serve different needs, different use cases, and different customers perfectly. But the Rotary isn't the only engine revolution happening at Mazda right now. The company is also developing the Skyactiv Z engine, set to debut in 2027. This is a completely new generation of their famous Skyactiv engine family, designed to meet the most stringent emissions regulations on the planet. We're talking about Euro 7 standards, LEV 4, and Tier 4 standards in North America. The Skyactiv Z represents traditional combustion engine development pushed to its absolute limits. It combines advanced combustion technology with hybrid power, proving that there's still a future for conventional engines if they're designed properly. Even more remarkably, Mazda has filed a patent for a 6-stroke engine concept that would extract hydrogen from regular gasoline, burn it for propulsion, and capture the carbon before it exits the tailpipe. This is science fiction becoming engineering reality. If it works as described, you could fill up at any gas station and drive away with near zero emissions. The engine represents a completely different approach to solving the climate problem. Not by abandoning combustion entirely, but by making combustion so clean and efficient that it becomes genuinely sustainable for the future. What's driving all of this? Why is Mazda willing to go so boldly against the grain, to resist the industry consensus, to invest heavily in combustion engine technology when everyone else is pivoting to electric powertrains? The answer lies in Mazda's core philosophy. This is a company that has always believed that cars should be fun to drive. Their famous slogan is Zoom, Zoom. They've always focused on joy of driving, on the emotional connection between driver and machine. When you look at Mazda's entire lineup, you see this philosophy everywhere. The MX-5 Miata remains one of the most beloved sports cars in the entire world, not because it's the fastest or the most powerful machine, but because it's genuinely fun to drive. It's responsive. It feels alive under your hands. Mazda believes that this emotional connection matters deeply. Mazda believes that driving should be about more than just getting from point A to point B efficiently. It should feel good. It should feel special. Electric vehicles are undeniably the future in many ways. They're efficient, they're clean in terms of tailpipe emissions, and they're improving rapidly. But they also come with real trade-offs. The instant linear power delivery of electric motors is efficient, but it can feel numb compared to the responsive nature of a combustion engine. The weight of battery packs changes how cars handle fundamentally. The driving experience is completely different. For many consumers, this is fine or even preferable. For others, there's something lost in the transition. Mazda is betting that there's a market for a different approach. They're betting that you can make cars that are clean enough, efficient enough, and modern enough while still delivering the kind of driving experience that combustion engines uniquely provide. They're betting that you don't have to choose between environmental responsibility and driving joy. You can have both simultaneously. This is where the rotary engine becomes symbolically important beyond just the technology. It's not just about the engineering, it's about what the technology represents philosophically. The rotary engine is an engine that virtually no one else in the world is pursuing anymore. It's an engine that the industry collectively decided was dead and finished. And yet, Mazda is resurrecting it because they believe in it, because they think it has a value, because they think there's a future for it that others aren't seeing. This kind of contrarian thinking is dangerous. It can lead to business failure. Companies that bet against industry trends often lose money and market share. But when it works, when the market actually wants what you're offering, the company that had the courage to pursue it becomes a legend in the industry. Mazda is taking that risk. They're putting their money where their mouth is. They're investing in the development of these engines not as a publicity stunt or a limited edition novelty, but as a genuine attempt to build the future of personal transportation. The new rotary-powered sports car expected to launch in late 2026 or early 2027 will be absolutely critical to Mazda's future trajectory. If it's successful, if customers embrace it, if it delivers on the promise of being a modern, efficient, enjoyable sports car powered by a hybrid rotary drivetrain, then Mazda will have proven something important to the world. They'll have proven that combustion engines still have a future ahead. They'll have proven that innovation in this space is possible and worthwhile. They'll have proven that you don't have to abandon internal combustion technology to be environmentally responsible and forward-thinking. And more than that, they'll have proven that going against the grain, refusing to accept the industry consensus, having the courage to be different, these things can pay off significantly. The automotive industry is at an inflection point right now. For over 100 years, we've been refining the same basic technology, piston engines, burning gasoline or diesel, powering the vast majority of vehicles on the road. Electric vehicles represent a genuine paradigm shift, a complete rethinking of how automobiles work at the most fundamental level. But the transition to EVs is not instantaneous. It's not a clean handoff from one technology to another. The future is going to be complex and incredibly diverse. Some people will drive electric vehicles. Some will drive plug-in hybrids. Some will drive conventional hybrids. And according to Mazda, some will drive rotary-powered hybrids. The engineers who worked on the original rotary engine decades ago, who spent their careers trying to perfect this technology, who watched it be abandoned by the industry, must feel vindicated right now. They were right all along. The rotary engine wasn't fundamentally flawed. It was just ahead of its time. It needed the right supporting technology, namely electric motors and battery power, to reach its full potential. Now, with hybrid technology available with electric motors to handle the duties that rotary engines struggle with battery power to enable clean, zero-emission driving when needed, the rotary engine can finally become what its creators always believed it could be. Mazda's rotary revival also sends a powerful message to every other manufacturer in the industry. It says that the future doesn't have to be monolithic or uniform. It says that you can be environmentally responsible without abandoning innovation in combustion technology. It says that there's room for different approaches, different philosophies, different solutions to the transportation challenge of the 21st century. This is especially important because electric vehicles, while clean in terms of tailpipe emissions, are not the complete environmental solution that some people pretend they are. The electricity they run on has to come from somewhere. In many parts of the world, that electricity still comes from fossil fuel power plants, the mining of lithium. And cobalt for batteries creates enormous environmental damage. The manufacturing process for batteries is extremely energy intensive. None of this is to say that EVs are bad. They absolutely have a role in the future. But it is to say that the story is more complex and nuanced. Mazda's approach, continuing to innovate in combustion engine technology while also developing EVs, while also creating hybrid systems that combine the best of both, is actually a more sophisticated and realistic approach to the transportation challenge. It acknowledges that different solutions work for different people in different places for different use cases. The rotary hybrid sports car that's coming will be a fascinating test of these ideas. It will be a real practical car that you can buy, that you can drive every single day, that will actually work in the real world. If it succeeds, if customers buy it and genuinely love it, then Mazda will have proven that their philosophy is valid. If it fails, if the market rejects it completely, then the industry can confidently say that the rotary engine's time has passed. But based on the response to the iconic SP concept, based on the enthusiasm in automotive media and among car enthusiasts, based on the hunger for alternatives to the EV-only future that everyone else is selling relentlessly, there's good reason to think that Mazda might be onto something real. There's good reason to believe that when this car launches, people will genuinely want to buy it. We live in an era where car enthusiasts, drivers who love the experience of driving, who appreciate mechanical complexity and engineering ingenuity, who want something different from the mainstream EV narrative, are hungry for options. They've been watching as one after another, the traditional sports cars shift to turbochargers and downsized engines, then to hybrids, then toward full electrification. They've been hearing that the future belongs to high-performance electric vehicles with instant torque and silent acceleration. But they've also been noticing that something feels lost in this transition, some essential element of the driving experience that matters to them. Mazda is offering an alternative. They're saying, you don't have to choose between progress and passion. You can have both. You can have a modern, efficient, clean car that's also genuinely fun to drive. You can have an engine that's unlike anything else on the road, that connects you to automotive history while also being completely state-of-the-art. You can have the future without sacrificing the soul. This is what makes Mazda's rotary revival so much more than just the resurrection of an old engine. It's a statement about what matters in transportation. It's a declaration that engineering innovation isn't just about efficiency or emissions. It's about creating machines that people love, that deliver joy, that make the act of driving feel genuinely significant and meaningful. When the new rotary sports car launches, when it hits showrooms in late 2026 or early 2027, it will be one of the most important automotive debuts in recent memory. Not because it will have the most power or the fastest acceleration or the most advanced technology available, but because it will represent a genuine alternative to the one-size-fits-all EV future. It will be proof that you can think differently, that you can go against the grain, that you can take risks on technology that everyone else has abandoned, and you might just be proven right. Mazda has placed its bet. The company has committed billions to development. The engineers are working toward a concrete deadline. The concept has been shown to the world. The vision has been shared publicly. Now comes the hard part. Actually delivering on that vision, actually building cars that work properly, actually proving that the rotary engine has a future in the 21st century and beyond. The next 2 years will be absolutely critical to Mazda's success. If Mazda pulls this off, if they launch a rotary hybrid sports car that's genuinely brilliant to drive, genuinely satisfying to own, genuinely competitive in its market segment, then the automotive industry might just learn that it was too quick to write off combustion engines entirely. They might learn that hybrid technology combined with innovative engine design can be not just viable, but genuinely desirable. And if that happens, if Mazda succeeds, then we won't have seen the end of the internal combustion engine. We'll have seen only the end of one chapter, the beginning of another. We'll have seen an industry pioneer, the company that brought us the rotary engine in the first place, finally prove that this unique and remarkable technology had potential all along. It just needed the right moment, the right supporting technology, and the right kind of courage to bring it back from the past. The rotary engine is dead. Long live the rotary engine.